Hello, good evening. Welcome to Inside Talk Show. Inside Talk Show, it's an inside job. I'm Carla Elizondo. Pleasure to be with you here. We've been missing a couple mornings, and so I'm picking up this evening. We are continuing James Allen's reading of his book, Out from the Heart. We're on chapter 3, Formation of Habit. Continuing on, we left off with, it is in the nature of the mind to acquire knowledge by the repetition of its experiences. A thought, which is very difficult at first to hold and to dwell upon, at last becomes, by consistently being held in the mind, a natural and habitual process. This is what Napoleon Hill calls in his chapter 4 of Think and Grow Rich, autosuggestion. This is a suggestion from yourself to yourself, repetition of an idea, of a thought over and over and over gets into that subconscious mind. Just like our little guy here. Where's my pen? I'll take this one. I like the white one better. All right. This is taking forever. All right. So the repetition over and over and over from our conscious thinking mind into our subconscious feeling mind. Once it's locked in here, it's coming out here. So whatever we are, whatever environment we're in, whatever we're exposing ourselves to over and over and over and over, we're not consciously aware, it's just dropping into our subconscious mind over and over and over and over. Like we talked about yesterday, if we're kicking it out, it never drops into here. It won't get printed, so to speak. What are you repeating? Autosuggestion, that's what I was going for. Over and over. What thoughts? What environment are you in? If you see a certain habit from people, from elders, from people, it just becomes habit. It becomes your normal. It's your programming. It's what you do. Do you think it's a coincidence that the majority, studies show, of welfare recipients are fourth or fifth generation? That's not a coincidence. They're just repeating what they see their family doing over and over and over. People who grow up in certain areas with violence or crime or dealing drugs, it's not a coincidence. Why do you think that group of people are the ones that are involved in violence and drug activity? It's just because that's the environment. It doesn't mean they're a certain type of people. It just means that they're habitually used to being in an environment and act as if they don't know any other way. Well, we're the same. Let's take a look at our lives. How are our results? It's probably because they're the same about of the people we're hanging around with. If you want to change your results, you change yourself and your environment will change. Hopefully, change your environment. What kind of environment are you in? Think about that. It says, a boy, when beginning to learn a trade, cannot even handle his tools right, much less use them correctly. But after long repetition and practice, he plies them with perfect ease and consummate skill. Likewise, a state of mind at first apparently incapable of realization is, by perseverance and practice, at last acquired and built into the character as a natural and spontaneous condition. In this power of the mind to form and reform its habits, its conditions, it contained the basis of man's salvation. It is the open door to perfect liberty by the master of self. Know thyself, study thyself, master thyself. For as a man has the power to form harmful habits, so he equally has the power to create habits that are essentially good. A lot of times we talk about bad habits. We chastise ourselves. We put a lot of attention on these bad habits and wanting to fix them. Remember, you can't shine up a poo. If you want to stop a bad habit, don't put any energy and effort into it. Focus on the good habits. That's how these bad habits will wither and fall, by simply just lack of attention. If you want to break a habit, if there's a habit you engage in, you just can't quit, you can't stop. I want you to release yourself. You're already doing it anyway, but what I want you to do is form one positive good habit in that area. Say if it's health, you have poor eating habits. Eat an apple a day. Form one good habit around health or around finances. You just keep charging up the card when you know you can't afford it. Save $100 a week. Just form good habits. Stop thinking about the bad habits. Form good habits. And the more you focus on good habits, these bad habits will just wither and die by lack of nutrients and sustenance. So it says, for as a man has the power to form harmful habits, so he equally has the same power to create habits that are essentially good. And here we come to a point which needs some clarifying and which calls for deep and earnest thought on the part of my reader. It is commonly said to be easier, listen to this. It is commonly said to be easier to do wrong than right, to sin than to be holy. Such a condition has come to be regarded almost universally as a self-evident truth. No less a teacher than the Buddha has said, bad deeds and deeds hurtful to others are easy to do. What is beneficial and good, that is difficult, very difficult to do. We've talked a lot about that here. It's easy to be mediocre. It's easy to give in. It's easy to blame. It's easy to point out the problem. It's easy to be mean. It's very difficult to point out the solution, to be nice, to be kind, to be understanding. So the Buddha says, bad deeds and deeds hurtful to ourselves and others are easy to do. What is beneficial and good, that is very difficult to do. And with regards to humanity generally, this is true, but it's only true as a passing experience, a fleeting factor in human evolution. It is not a fixed condition of things. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is unchanged. Everything is changing. Life is change. So if you have bad habits right now, don't trip. You can always change them. That habit was formed. You can form a new one. It is not the nature of an eternal truth. It is easier for man to do wrong than right because of the prevalence of ignorance, because the true nature of things and the essence and meaning of life are not understood. When a child is learning to write, it is extremely easy to hold, when a child is learning to write, it is extremely easy to hold the pen wrongly and to form his letters incorrectly. But it is painfully difficult to hold the pen and to write properly. This is because of the child's ignorance of the art of writing, which can only be dispelled by persistent effort and practice until at last it becomes natural and easy to hold the pen correctly, and difficult as well as altogether unnecessary to do the wrong thing. That's the beautiful part. Once you learn how to write, once you learn how to hold a pen correctly and write, it would be very difficult for you to, and unnecessary, to hold the pen wrongly and write wrong. Like, you can't not do it. Once you learn how to drive a stick shift, you can't unlearn that. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you can't pretend like you can't unlearn it. For example, these morning readings I do, well, it's evening now, but because I didn't do it today, it threw me off. So I have to do it tonight. It's just a habit. It's a habit I formed, and it's a positive habit. I love doing it. I learn and I love sharing this. And I hope you do too. But it's a habit. It's a good habit. So it is the same in the vital things of mind and life. To think and do rightly requires much practice and renewed effort. But the time comes at last when it becomes habitual and easy to think and do rightly. And difficult as it is then seen to be altogether unnecessary to do what is wrong. This work, this personal development work, can be like, oh my God, that's extra. Why do you read the same thing over and over? Why do we have to study ourselves? It's temporary in the sense of the work, meaning that creating these good habits. Let me start there. Creating good habits can seem like a lot of work. Going to the gym, eating healthy, thinking positive thoughts, learning how to have boundaries with our thoughts, like we talked about the other day. Because it's against our nature. We're not used to it. It's difficult at first. Like he was talking about the kid learning how to write. The tools at first, we're clumsy with them. We don't succeed. We're bad at it. But just as sure as the sun rises in the morning, if we habitually continue to do it over and over and over, it will become habit and it will get easier. What habits what good habits do you want to form? Don't even actually, if I said it before, erase it. Don't even think about bad habits. What good habits in the area of health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, relationships, work relationships, friendships, intimate partner relationships, kids relationships, family relationships. What do we have? We have health, relationships, finances. Okay, how is your financial situation? And career, your work ethic. Do you put in your all? Are you do you have a standard of excellence? Do you give your best in whatever area? Think about one habit you want to form and make a decision and take action. For the rest of this year, it's August. We have what, 5 months, less than 5 months until 2023. Commit. One thing that I did was, I normally worked out. I have a Stairmaster here and I do that, but I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to start lifting weights more. And some of you have been a part of my journey. It's really fun. But I have committed Monday through Friday to go to the gym every single morning. And it's really habit now. It feels so good. And it gets easier, and it's getting easier, and it's getting fun. What habit do you want to form? I hope you enjoyed that. As always, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow morning.